Hi, welcome back. I am so excited because I have got Ilana here today, Ilana Corstine from the Paisley-Manor Insurance Group. And Ilana is actually an insurance broker, and she focuses on high net worth individuals, helping them with home insurance, auto insurance, even business insurance if they've got businesses. And I've personally been working with Ilana for quite some time now on a variety of my properties. So I thought it'd be great to have her here to talk a little bit about insurance for your first home. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Limor. It's so good to be here. Thank you so much.
I'm excited that you're here. So I think that insurance brokers are like this underground secret world. Okay, when you go out to buy a first house, everyone hears about the mortgage, everybody knows about the realtor, but not a lot of thought is put into insurance brokers.
I know.
Kind of crazy, huh?
It is crazy, and it really is something that boggled my mind when I first got into the industry, was that insurance was always the last thing on people's minds when buying a home.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about, like, what is it that you actually do as an insurance broker?
So as an insurance broker for my personal clients, when they're buying homes or leasing a new car, you know, they contact me ahead of time, hopefully. Hopefully ahead of time. Yes, that is key. You want to make sure that you're contacting your broker within enough time to give them, you know, time to shop around for you and do the work for you up front, so you're not scrambling at the last minute.
And so what do you actually do as a broker? Because what guilty I did, not anymore, and I know a lot of home buyers do, is they like maybe call one or two insurance companies, try to like scramble, get something, and then just off they go. So tell me what you do as an insurance broker.
So as an insurance broker, I'll ask you a bunch of questions depending on the property that we're insuring you for. And I will submit your application to a bunch of different insurance companies that we work with. And then I get quotes back. We analyze the different levels of coverage, and we consult with you on your needs. And depending on your level of coverage that you require and the property that you're insuring, we make a decision together on your coverage. You're
basically going to be my like concierge insurance admin support, in that you're going to run out.
The beauty is that we get to go to a bunch of different insurance companies on your behalf. You're not the one sitting there on the phone with an insurance company, not knowing what questions to ask and what questions to answer. I'm doing all the work for you.
So you're going to save me a whole bunch of time.
Exactly.
See, I don't know why more people don't end up using insurance brokers. So typically, and I know every insurance broker is different, but like, do you have access to like 1, 3, 5, like how many different kinds of insurance companies do you reach out to?
We go to about between 8 and 10 different insurance companies for you. Yeah.
Wow.
But that's all seamless in the background. You don't see all that. What you see is, you know, you give me your information that I need to get a quote, and I take that information for you. I put it into an application and I send it to the insurance companies, and they give me back the quotes. And I analyze for you, and depending on the type of property, I may or may not give you 2 or 3 different options. If it's a basic homeowner's package, I'll give you the best option.
Okay, so basically you're gonna get me a whole bunch of different options. You're gonna go to a whole bunch of different insurance companies and come back to me, and we're gonna look at them together. You're gonna make some recommendations.
So make some recommendations, make sure that you're comfortable with the level of coverage, with the contents coverage, so only you know what contents you have in your home. So do you have specialized contents like jewelry or art that you need to insure separately? You know, only you know what kind of renovations you're going to be making to your home, what kind of upgrades you have. Is your basement finished? Are you putting in a pool? Are you moving in right away? There's so many different components that go into analyzing a risk.
Right. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense that we would really work together. So let's say I'm going to go out, I'm going to buy my first home, and you know, I've got so many people I got to meet with. I got a lawyer, I got a mortgage broker, I got an insurance broker. Well, that's you, you know, and a realtor and all that kind of stuff. When do you think is kind of the best time to meet with an insurance broker, to engage you, even tell you that I'm looking for a property?
I mean, if I have that luxury, it's amazing to have you contact me in the home buying process. So even before you go out and purchase your home, consult with me. Let's have a conversation about what areas you're looking in the city.
What difference would that make?
So in certain areas in the city might be higher risk for basement flooding, for example. So an insurance company would rate you higher in those certain areas. But it's also something you want to be aware of, not just for an insurance purpose, but to mitigate your own risk. You're not going to want to move into a neighborhood that you know is at a particularly high risk for flooding. Basement flooding, right?
Yeah.
So as an example, or are you moving out into the country? Are you going to be on a septic system? Those are all things that we might want to have a conversation with before you go out and buy your first home.
So probably, in an ideal scenario, up front, maybe I already have a realtor, maybe I'm, about to start looking, that would be a really good time to say like, hey, Ilana, here's what I'm thinking, here's directionally, just so that I'd be more aware.
Right.
Is that right?
Exactly. You want to be aware as your first-time home buyer as to all the risks that you would be looking for, as well as, obviously get a home inspection before you buy your home, right? So you want to be aware that no surprises come up afterwards.
So, okay, let's just say kind of normal scenario. I put in an offer, I get that offer accepted. Hopefully, I've got a couple days to remove my conditions. Maybe I've got an insurance condition in there, which I always think is important to have. I'm sure you do too.
Right.
And let's say now I need to come to you. You're going to have a series of questions for me.
Right.
What types of questions do you typically
You're going to want to have
ask?
your ducks in a row in terms of the property, how old it is, when was the roof last done, how old's the plumbing, what kind of plumbing, what kind of heating. Again, are you doing renovations before you move in? Is the property going to be vacant?
Yes.
For any point of time before you move in. Those are all things you want to let your insurance broker know.
Okay, this is one of the reasons why I really love working with Ilana, because before I go to take a look at the property, she's like, okay, Limor, here's the 10 things that you're going to need. And then that way when I'm there with the realtor or if I got the home inspector there, I've got all these answers right away. And then typically if I am thorough in getting you kind of all of those answers, how long does it take for you to go out to all of your different insurance providers and come back to?
It's a good question. So yeah, provided I have all the information up front, it could take anywhere between a day to 2 days to 3 days. It depends.
So this is not like a 3-week process. This is relatively
generally
quick.
Not. But at the same time, I do say approach me as soon as you know you're buying your home. Or you've closed. Well in advance of closing. To
I actually don't even
time.
think we can close without insurance.
Exactly. Any mortgage lender requires you to have insurance so that they're protected. So they're going to want an insurance binder upon closing, and you don't want to be scrambling at the last minute to get your lawyer that piece of paper.
Okay, so you raised a good point. First of all, that insurance is actually mandated by your financing lender. So to my understanding, insurance is not a government mandated.
That is correct.
Okay.
So if you have the means to go out and buy your home for cash and you have the means to replace it all should a fire, God forbid, take out your home, you're not required by law to have home insurance.
Yes.
That is never my recommendation.
Yes, that is not smart practice. Even if you've got
the money to replace all your contents and rebuild your home from scratch, should it burn to the ground, God forbid, you need home insurance.
You need to get home insurance.
Yes.
Okay, so it's mandated by your financing requirements or your financing lender.
Yes.
Your mortgage lender. And so in order to be able to even close, you mentioned a term here that maybe we're not all as familiar with, but you said an insurance binder. What's an insurance binder?
An insurance binder is proof of insurance. It's a piece of paper that states who's insured for what covered perils, which are
like the items.
Yeah, like fire.
Got it.
That kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it states the period of coverage as well, so start and end dates of the policy. And it'll also put your mortgage lender as an additional insured on there as well.
Got it. So that like if the house burns down, does insurance then pay your mortgage? I don't know if it does that.
If you have mortgage insurance.
Okay, separate.
Yes, that's
okay.
Separate.
But like house insurance is like about rebuilding your house if it burns down.
It's rebuilding the dwelling if it burns down, as well as your contents.
And damage and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Now,
it also covers you for liability.
Now, what if your stuff is stolen? Are you covered?
So you want to make sure you're covered for that. Not a basic policy is basically just fire policy.
Okay.
You want to make sure that your policies cover you for as much as you are comfortable being covered for.
Okay, so enlighten us a little bit, because I think often the perception is like, oh yeah, I gotta have insurance, but like I'm never really gonna need it, right? And so like I just need like the least expensive policy. Bing it. Okay, correct us on there. Like, how should we be thinking about insurance?
You want to be thinking, unfortunately, you want to be thinking worst case scenario. So you want to think, come claim time, what do you want to happen? Do you want to be covered in full for everything?
So smart.
You have to think end game. Yeah. What do you want to be covered for? You don't want to think, okay, I have to save $50 this year on my premium. No. What good does that do you if you have a flood in your basement and you don't have sewer backup coverage? Or if you don't have sufficient dwelling coverage to rebuild your home?
Yeah.
You don't want to skimp out on insurance. And it's often the place people look to save money on their home costs.
I would agree. I think that's what I hear a lot. It's like, shoot, I'm already covering all these like closing costs, and my lawyer's so expensive, and like if I could just get my insurance down,
let's
like
save
$50
on my home insurance. Well, okay, but you don't want to be in that position where you saved $50 and then you have a loss and you're out $50,000.
I love that. Okay, so really when people are thinking about insurance, they should be thinking about worst case scenario. How am I going to feel in that?
In a claim time. In a claim scenario, how do you want to be treated? Do you want to be covered? That's what you need to think of.
Now, so I'm assuming up front when you're talking through, the number of different quotes that you've got, you'll be able to explain kind of what's the difference in terms of how much you'll get, elements like the deductible. Is there a deductible?
Yes. So on a home insurance policy, there are generally deductibles anywhere between $500 to $10,000.
Okay.
It's up to you, and also your insurance company to provide you those options.
Right.
And that if you go higher on your deductible, that generally saves you on your premium, because it means that you're taking on more of the risk and the insurance company rewards you for that. That's
a good little hack, because now I'm thinking like, shoot, I never want to compromise on the end claim amount, but maybe if I'm willing to put in a bit of a higher deductible, then I could save some money that way.
It's all about your own tolerance for pain, so to speak. Like, how much are you willing to put in and pay for? How much are you willing to take on as a responsibility yourself for the risk?
That's really interesting. Okay, so you're going to be offering us great advice. You're going to be doing the legwork. Like, how do you get paid? How much is it going to cost me to work with an insurance broker?
So it doesn't cost you anything extra to work with an insurance broker. I get paid by the insurance company.
Can you just say that one more time?
It does not cost you anything extra to work with an insurance broker. I get paid by the insurance company.
I love that. So you're going to do all this extra work for me. You're going to help me to evaluate what's the right criteria. And at the end of the day, you are actually being paid by the insurance company.
Yeah, I get a small fee for as a percentage commission.
That's so great. I don't understand why more people don't have conversations with insurance brokers. Now, when you are going to be doing all this work and you come back, and I know we've already kind of established like baseline, like cheaper is not necessarily better.
Cheaper is not necessarily better when it comes to insurance.
Right.
No.
But when it comes to, let's say, overall package, like let's call it apples to apples, do you always have access to the best possible apples? Or
the best possible rates?
The best possible rates or packages, or,
So it's a bit of a complicated question, but generally the answer is yes. I go out to a bunch of different companies. I don't work or represent one particular insurance company. I work with a bunch of different insurance companies. So I have that luxury of being able to compare not only premiums, pricing, coverage, deductible options. There are so many different things I can compare for you, and again, I'm doing the work for you. Whereas on your own going to a direct writer, which is...
So what's a direct writer?
So a direct writer is an insurance company that you would work with directly.
Okay.
They don't work with insurance brokers. So
are there a lot of those?
So someone like a TD Malashmonics or a State Farm, those are considered direct writers that you would go to directly.
Okay.
And that means that come claim time,
you don't work with them directly as well?
Well, you would.
You
would work directly with them. There's no broker involved. So you're left to fend for yourself come claim time against the insurance company.
Got it.
Whereas if you're dealing with me and I work in between, as a middleman for you, I can fight for you.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. So actually one of the things that I was super impressed about, particularly in working with you, is that there was one property that was a little bit more obscure, and that one is actually based in Alberta. So you actually can insure properties in multiple provinces, right?
So
via your brokerage,
yes, we have
spiderwebs.
We don't have licenses across all the Canadian provinces, but we do in BC and Alberta and Ontario.
Okay, so Alberta. So that's one. So I was looking at a property that I had in Alberta, and you know, while you had pulled some quotes for me, you had actually suggested that I talk to one of those, and their coverage was on par, but a little bit less expensive. So what I loved is, and I've actually checked on all of the ones that I've done with Ilana's, and that was the only one where it was actually perhaps a better thing. But in the issue of a claim, I don't know that I would want to do that myself anyways.
Right.
But,
you definitely want someone in your corner during a claim.
But I like that you can do, or you can get us a whole bunch of different quotes, but you know, you're still very open to what is the best for your client.
Exactly. Oh yes, of course. I mean, you know, if you want to come to me and show me a policy that you already have in place, I can certainly analyze that for you. And if it makes sense to stay where you are by all means, and I'll tell you that.
Yes, and you will.
Yeah.
I know you will.
Because ultimately I want what's best for you, right?
Yeah,
so,
no, I think that's fabulous. And then so you also have auto insurance under your umbrella of services, right?
Yes.
Do you recommend bundling? Have you seen instances where like home and auto together creates better pricing?
Yeah.
Like, how does that work?
So sometimes it does make sense to, where possible, bundle your home and auto together. You can save by way of multi-policy discounts, multi-vehicle discounts even if you have more than one vehicle in the same policy. But sometimes it doesn't make sense. So we analyze all that for you. So we'll present you with the best options.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess wherever possible, you're probably asking, if someone comes to you for home insurance, you know, you're probably asking about vehicles or businesses, because I guess there are some, what do you call them, multi-policy?
A multi-policy discount.
Multi-policy discount, I like that. And so, you know, it is a great way to kind of bundle things together.
And look for savings. It's a way to save. For
so
sure.
there are some ways that we are looking for savings, but we're not going to cheap out, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Oh, I definitely look to save you money where possible. I mean, do you have a monitored burglar or fire alarm on your property? That will get you a discount generally with most insurance companies. Things like loyalty. So are you a loyal customer of one particular insurance company?
Really? If I stick around with them?
If you stick around.
How many years? What's the... I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
But they do reward you for your loyalty.
Interesting.
Your age. So are you of retirement?
Is it better to be younger or older from an home insurance standpoint?
Older. So
really?
Yeah, they generally, a retirement age individual might see a greater discount on their policy. Okay,
so there are some good ways to be able to save.
As well as claims free. So they reward you for being claims free. So for a certain amount of years. And again, those years depend on the insurance company. But yeah, they'll reward you for being claims free for about 6 years.
So, you know, what happens if you've had something that's minor at your property? Like, I'm not talking full-on flood, but maybe something small has been stolen. You know, you'll be familiar with your deductible, but is it ever to your detriment maybe to even call and find out about making the insurance claim? Like, does it go on your is there a record? How does it work?
There is a record. If you call and inquire, that goes on your record, definitely. What they do with that is up to them at renewal time, though.
Interesting. Okay, so renewal time. I was actually going to go there next. So perfect segue. So typically when you get insurance, it's for a 1-year term. Is that right?
Yeah,
that's
it's usually a 12-month term.
12-month term. And is renewal automatic?
Yeah.
Do you need to reapply? Like, how does that work?
For personal home and auto, renewal is automatic.
It's automatic.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they'll generally apply an inflationary rate increase every year to your policy, but your coverage should increase with that.
That's actually what I was going to ask, because like especially in hot markets like Toronto, Vancouver, where, you know, originally your property was worth X and now it's worth a lot more. I mean, it may not necessarily be more expensive to rebuild, which is kind of your fire, but I'm asking.
Rebuild costs do go up with
Okay.
inflation every year.
So is that
so they do factor that
baked in?
into the coverage. Yeah. So if they're increasing
good.
your premium, they should also be increasing your coverage to rebuild your dwelling,
Okay.
because building costs increase every year as well.
Yeah.
But the market value of your property is different than the rebuild value of your property. That's a very important distinction to make, because I've had a lot of people say when they see the quotes and the coverage on the dwelling, well, my house is worth a lot more than 1.1. But it's not about the land. It's about the rebuild value on your home.
So that's like how much money it would cost in supplies and labor to rebuild it.
In a total loss scenario, if your house, God forbid, burnt to the ground, what would it cost to rebuild your home? We're not talking rebuilding the land. The land is still there.
Right.
So people don't misunderstand that at first as a first-time home buyer.
What other mistakes do you see first-time home buyers making when it comes to insurance, other than coming to you at the last minute?
Coming to me at the last minute is one main mistake I see.
Yeah.
You know, they think quotes can happen like that, and they can, but you don't want to put anybody under that kind of pressure, yourself or the broker.
Right.
It leaves mistakes open to happening very easily, right?
Yeah, and so that's when it's like, quick, I need the insurance binder, my lawyer can't close without it.
Right. I need this today. That's not fair to anyone.
Can you get insurance and then switch it like a month later? Is that an
If you want to pay a penalty.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Insurance companies might charge a penalty
like
for
if you're
cancellation.
canceling that quickly. And so when it comes to paying for your insurance, now with most plans, I think you can either pay for the full year in advance or you can pay monthly. Yeah. Is there any extra charges if you pay monthly, or is it just the same? There is.
There are. So generally the insurance company will tack on a fee for paying monthly.
Okay.
So where possible, you want to pay upfront in full. And if you ever have to cancel for whatever reason, the insurance company should give you your money back if you've paid in full.
So like
minus whatever
however
cancellation fee they might charge.
Right. Okay. So you recommend then paying for the full year if you can?
If you can.
Like
if you're not borrowing to pay for that,
yes.
you know, that's where you have to outweigh the 3% fee that an insurance company might charge you to go monthly versus the interest you're paying on your credit card to pay in full.
Right. Okay. So it depends where you are, and it's about like kind of managing your own cash flow.
Exactly.
But essentially, it is more cost effective if we pay upfront instead of kind of on a month-by-month basis.
For sure.
So some of my insurance policies have used different kinds of like terms and things that I haven't really understood intuitively. Like, is that something that you're very patient with? You like to explain things, or do you feel like do people even ask questions, or they mostly just
I love it when people ask questions.
Okay.
Because that means that they're understanding there's no surprises later on. And where possible, I mean, actually not just where possible, all the time, I explain as if, assuming you don't know.
And you've done that with me a few times, and I
because
appreciate that.
I want you to understand what you're covered for. I don't want you to come back to me and say, well, you never explained that to me, right? So yeah, we already covered, you know, a binder, for example, what that is. It's proof of insurance. Dwelling amount, that's your property. Your contents, those are all the contents that are not physically attached to your building, in your home. No,
I think that you know, it's so surprising to me, again, kind of how we started this conversation, that people don't know more about insurance brokers. And I think, you know, you're saving time, you're adding expertise, you're explaining things in plain English. Like, buying your first house can be so super stressful that any one piece like this that can be all kind of wrapped up with a little bow is really fantastic.
I agree. I totally agree.
Well, I'm so glad that you're here today and that you shed a little bit of light on the insurance component, because it's actually not a scary one and a super important one. And, you know, to know that there's sort of an insurance concierge that can kind of help you with that soup to nuts is really helpful.
It was so nice to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you.
I totally mirror all of your sentiment about insurance brokers.
There we go, right? Gotta love them. Thanks, Ilana.
Thank you, Limor.